you're hungry, you know you're upset. Hello and welcome to my 70s kitchen, a place where the food is generally better than the cabinetry, at least most of the time. Today we're doing a Korean-style kimchi and tofu stew, which actually is a really versatile dish. Everybody kind of has their own version of it. There are certain fundamentals involved, but I mean, really it comes down to the kind of ingredients you want to use, the amount of them, how spicy you want it. I mean, it's infinitely customizable. It's also great for when your kitchen is 92 degrees and you just want to really, you know, steam things up, but at the same time, it's really spicy, so you sweat, so you cool down. So the first order of business with the stew is to saute or stir fry the actual kimchi. I'm using the Gracie's Garden. This is a Maine product out of Standish. I think it's one of the best around. It makes all the difference if the basis of the stew is kimchi. You want to use good kimchi. So I'm gonna start by adding some peanut oil, just to kind of, because I feel weird just adding the kimchi. If you're gonna make your own kimchi, be careful. Because A, it can be dangerous and you can do it wrong and potentially get somebody sick. Or in another scenario, if you do it wrong while it's fermenting, all of the jars can explode. If it's already done perfectly, why do you need to do it again? So we're gonna add all our kimchi. It's about roughly 3 cups of kimchi with all the juices. I'm gonna add that to the pan. We're gonna give that a stir fry so that kind of comes together here. Look at how pretty. That smells so good. I mean, honestly, like this kimchi is basically like, it's just a perfect snack right out of the jar. Like you don't need to cook it. You know, you just can eat it right out of the jar. I used to go to this this bar in Chicago that was open until 4 a.m. where it was called Cafe Bong, and you just would drink and you would karaoke till 4 in the morning, and the bar food was kimchi. And that was the first time I actually ever had kimchi. It's back in like 1999. And there was this Korean lady who owned it who would scream at you if you wouldn't karaoke. This pan, once it gets hot, it doesn't want to not be hot. So I'm gonna ditch our little rubber spatch and switch over to my Black Walnuts cooking spoon from Hilltop Spoonworks in Poland, Maine. All right, so what we wanna do is we wanna basically saute the kimchi for 4 to 5 minutes. I mean, this is there are so many layers in this soup and it's so simple to make. I mean, especially nowadays with, I mean, you can find even the most obscure Korean ingredients on Amazon. I mean, not necessarily that you should, you know, do that if you have an Asian market in your city or town. Here in Portland, Maine, we are fortunate enough to have several excellent Asian markets where you can find everything we're using today. The smell is like, it's crazy. I will say that per usual, the portions of spice that I'm using might be a little high for some people, so feel free to adjust accordingly. That's perfectly fine. It's just, you know, when it comes to like this kind of heat, I like it really hot. I don't like to I'm not one of those like crazy people who wants a shot of like Dave's Ultimate Insanity Sauce, like an extract that like literally burns you all throughout until the next day, well through the next day. I'm not into that. I like things that are like kind of explosively or creepy, you know, they're a little bit of a creeper as far as the heat, but then it's like, that's it, you know, you don't have to relive the experience over and over. And as you can see here with the kimchi, the juices are kind of cooking off a bit here, which is nice. I'm gonna add 1 chopped white onion. I'm gonna do some minced garlic and ginger. You know, nice and pressed to get all that juice in there as well. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of sesame oil go in. Now those are pretty common. So a couple of the slightly more obscure ingredients. I mean, they're, like I said, pretty common in Asian markets and very prominent in Korean cooking. First off, you have gochujang. And this is a fermented chili paste. It's like a 5 out of 10 with the heat, although every now and then I forget and I use a lot of it and it can be pretty potent, but it adds that really nice, deep kind of like chili, but like almost like raisiny kind of aspects to it, like a lot of depth. And next is gochugaru. So this is a Korean chili powder. You could probably substitute a regular, you know, chili powder or cayenne, but I wouldn't. I would definitely try to seek out, we're gonna put in about 2 tablespoons of that. So we're not really skimping on the heat here. And all of these flavors are really complementary. I mean, like, there's a really nice, like, bright acidity from the fermented cabbage, from the kimchi. The gochujang adds a really nice depth and a little bit of sweetness. The gochugaru, the chili powder, just adds a bright heat. And then, of course, you have your garlic ginger for aromatics and onion because, you know, what soup would be complete without some alliums? There's a lot of salt already happening in this. So normally I'm kind of a salt freak and I'll start salting, you know, in the beginning. In this case, I would wait until after you've simmered the broth, give it a taste, then adjust it for salts. So we're just, everybody's, as they say, getting to know each other in the pot, and it just smells spicy. But look at how pretty and red. This is gonna be delicious. We're gonna add some cube tofu. Now this is Hiwa tofu, which is made in Camden. Again, amazing that we have like really incredible tofu here in Maine. But Hiwa tofu is one of those things that people who don't like tofu, I give this to them and that always changes their mind. Like, wow, it actually has some flavor and really nice texture. It's amazing and I don't really use anything else. This stew, a lot of times when you see it, they use a softer tofu. I've even seen it with like silken tofu, but I like this a slightly firmer Hiwa tofu in it just because the flavor is so good that it doesn't matter. So I'd pressed the tofu just to dry it up a little bit, salted it, left it for about 40 minutes, and then we're gonna integrate that in here. And don't be shy if some of these pieces get broken up, that's fine. There's gonna be hundreds of people who are like, you're doing it wrong. But at the same time, none of those people invented this, and there's a million ways to do it. And you know what? I like the way I do it because it tastes delicious. All right, now we're gonna add some chicken stock. You could do chicken stock here, you could do vegetable stock, you could do dashi, which is a Japanese, a very umami-laden Japanese broth made with kombu and bonito and a few other goodies if you want. So I'm doing a chicken broth, as I said here. So this is about 2 quarts of chicken broth that I've actually had warming on the oven. So you want that nice angry color on the broth, which to me is absolutely beautiful. Of course, homemade chicken stock is always best, but at the same time, there's so many good pre-made box stocks out there. I mean, I've done a taste test with like 17 of those side by side, and there are some very good ones out there. Although nothing beats spending a whole Saturday or Sunday making 12 quarts of homemade stock on your own because your apartment smells amazing for the next 5 days. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of white pepper. I always keep both in the kitchen. I always keep a black pepper shaker and a white pepper shaker because I think they're both equally versatile. White pepper, if you're cooking the food, white pepper, the flavor is going to stay in, whereas black pepper you want to add more towards the end because if you cook something for a long time, it's going to almost like cook the flavor out of it. So that's why I like the white pepper. All right, so now we're going to bring this up to a boil. Then we're going to whack it down to a simmer. Let it roll for about 20, 25 minutes. That's just going to kind of, you know, let the flavors come together, you know, let the vegetables get soft. And so we're gonna check back on it in 20 minutes and see where it's at, and then I'm gonna show you how to finish the soup. Now that it's had a chance to simmer, about 20, 25 minutes, everything should be kind of come together in here. It's at a nice temp. What I'm gonna do now, before I add, we're almost there, almost to the end. Before I add some scallions and a few other things, I'm gonna test for salts. My trusty tasting spoon here. All right, so we're gonna hit it with a little bit of Maldon salt here. There it is. Everybody loves it. When you throw salt on their floor, that's their favorite thing. They're like, why am I walking around in bare feet and there's salt stuck to my feet? It's because I cooked at your house. But at least I don't have all that bad luck now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some scallions, so get some nice green happening in the picture here. Give it about that many scallions. I'd say it's about a little less than a bunch of scallions. I've got 4 eggs here that I've let come to room temperature. Always a better way to work with them. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop them. Actually, I'm gonna give them a little bit of just hit each of the yolks with a little bit of salt. And then I'm gonna slowly drop them into the soup. Kind of distribute them around and let them poach in the soup. Now, the whole key is here, you don't want to make egg drop soup. So don't start like stirring vigorously. We don't want like, you know, threads of eggs. We want each person to actually get an individual egg in their soup. What I like to do sometimes is sort of, you can take the hot broth and you can kind of spoon it over just to make sure. I would say let it go, 5, 6, 7 minutes. I mean, as much as you like your eggs cooked. I like them personally just as much, just so the yolk is firmed up. Obviously, you want the whites to cook first and foremost. That's pretty much 101. Unless you're using raw eggs for something, cook that white. You'd be surprised how fast the eggs cook in the stew. And then I'm going to finish it with some chopped cilantro while this is happening. So, and as long as you aren't a cilantro soap person, that's obviously the step that you can omit. It'll still be delicious. If you don't like cilantro, just add extra scallions. Honestly, you could probably even add a little bit of either Thai basil, mint, any of the kind of pho accompaniments to this, and those would be delicious if you don't like cilantro. So, cherry wood ladle here from Hilltop Spoonworks in Poland, Maine. I want to make sure that in the mix I get one of the eggs in there, and then I want it to be nice and brothy. Obviously, like any other soup, this is going to be better tomorrow than it is today. That's basically the look. With any soup, chowder, whatever, it's going to be better the next day when all the flavors have a chance to meld. Let me get out my highly versatile ramen, pho, kimchi stew, tom yum bowls. I'll give this a try. That's delicious. It's hot, both temperature-wise and spice. You get that really explosive burst of spice, but I guarantee it just goes away. It's really delicious. Really nice with the fresh cilantro at the end. You get the tofu. Tofu, which basically just, absorbs the flavor of whatever it's in, so. So there you have it. A very easy, simple recipe you can make any time of year with just a few ingredients. I mean, most of these things are pantry staples. The kimchi is probably the only thing you probably need to purchase, when you make it. But at the same time, you can buy a big thing of kimchi and keep it in the fridge, and you'll be good to go there. Simple preparation, warming, spicy, delicious. Everybody loves it. Enjoy. If you like what you saw today and you want more recipes, more videos, check out our website, foodcomapodcast.com, or go to my YouTube channel, just Joe Ricchio. Like and subscribe, and we will keep the videos coming.